terrifying prospect.
Pro-Iran military commanders. We understand that Iranian aligned armored groups here in Iraq, they have been gathering near the heavily fortified Green Zone, which is home to the U.S. Embassy, other diplomatic missions, and government forces, government offices as well. They were trying to storm the Green Zone to reach the U.S. Embassy. They're trying to show their solidarity with Iran. In fact, they pledge allegiance to the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed in an U.S.-Israeli airstrike at the beginning of the military campaign.
Mahmoud, there's also been an attack against the consulate of the United Arab Emirates. That was in northern Iraq. What are you learning about that?
It's a drone attack. There is no information as of yet who is behind that, but we understand that two people were injured in this attack, and this is not the first time, by the way, because Iran-aligned armed groups and the IRGC at the same time, they have been targeting several locations in the Kurdish region, including the U.S. consulate, the UAE consulate, and other military facilities, U.S. military facilities in the Kurdish region. So they look at, both the IRGC and the Iranian aligned armed groups in Iraq, they both look at the United Arab Emirates as a collaborator with the United States and with Israel, especially in this campaign against Iran. In fact, they say that United Arab Emirates has facilitated this campaign by giving its resources in the Gulf to the United States and to Israel to attack Iran.
Okay, so that's an attack on UAE interests in northern Iraq. Mahmoud Abdul Wahed in Baghdad, thank you very much.
Foreign Minister Arakshi, thank you so much for your time this morning, sir. I wanted to start with the news overnight that the U.S. has carried out a military strike on Kharg Island. The President of the United States said that for reasons of decency, I have chosen not to wipe out all the oil infrastructure on the island.
That's cap. For the record. That's totally fucking cap. You want to know why? I'll explain to you why. Before Arakshi comes in and you guys can't pay attention to what he has to say because he's too hot, and you want to make your TikTok, you want to make your little TikTok fan cams for Arakshi. I've noticed that my TikTok fan cams have went down, and everyone's making TikTok fan cams of Arakshi. Sorry, I'm not the foreign minister. Okay, calm down. Anyway, the reason why Trump can't eviscerate Kharg Island is because it's an own goal. Okay. The goal to take over Kharg Island is what? What's the reason for it? Well, it's because they want to hold it militarily. Jury's out on whether they're capable of doing so. Most likely not. But they want to hold Kharg Island, which is a key strategic point for Iranian oil. 90% of Iranian oil passes through Kharg Island, right? So the goal here is to apply pressure to the Iranian state by taking an oil terminal that is of strategic importance for the Iranian economy, right? And with that, if they were capable of holding it for an extended period of time, which again, jury's out on that, they would be able to, the logic is, they'd be able to pressure the Iranian government to open the Strait of Hormuz. Why do they want to open the Strait of Hormuz? Because the price of an oil barrel is $100+. Okay? They want to allow oil tankers free passage through the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the entire world's energy supply passes through. However, if you take Kharg Island to gain leverage and force the strait open to lower the price of an oil barrel, you're still going to fail, because by the very by striking Kharg Island, one, you're increasing the price of oil, because you're, again, ironically limiting the supply of oil that's being transmitted through the strait. Okay? You're limiting the oil supply, because Iran is also an oil provider. That's number one. Number two, if Kharg Island is taken, then Iran starts attacking Kharg Island and attacking troop positions on Kharg Island. And also as a response to this act, this escalation from the American and Israeli side, okay, they end up blowing up the rest of the refineries in the region. Okay? If you blow up Karg Island to free the Strait of Hormuz, you 100% guarantee that they mine the Strait of Hormuz, because guess what? The only reason why the Strait of Hormuz is not mined right now is because Chinese flagged oil tankers can pass through and Iranian oil tankers can pass through. So if you blow up their only opportunity to engage in refining, engage in the refinement of oil and transporting oil out of Iran, then you have all but guaranteed that the Strait of Hormuz will never open again until this war is over. You will completely collapse the entire global economy. Okay? Because if they don't have the capacity to pass their tankers through, then they have no reason not to mine the Strait of Hormuz. And if you mine the Strait of Hormuz, then now all of a sudden, the demining operation of the Strait of Hormuz is not going to start until the conflict ends, until like you have been able to secure the coastline, the entire coastline of Iran, which again is not going to happen with just aerial bombing campaigns. It's impossible, right? Because no one is going to be able to look through the 20-mile Strait of Hormuz to figure out where the mines are and successfully extract them while they're under fire from Iranian munitions and Iranian Shahed drones. So it's an own goal. If your goal of opening the Strait of Hormuz is to lower the price of an oil barrel, bombing or taking Karg Island is directly at odds with that goal. It's a massive mistake because, like I said, Iran will escalate and actually mine the strait and or hit GCC refineries, which will make the energy crisis worse. Is a terrible mistake. But Karg Island is not even close to the strait. I smell some smelly smell over there. We are unfortunately dealing with the dumbest people on the planet because they do not understand. Ships that pass through here go through here. If there's no more capacity to pass ships through here from the Iranian side, they have no reason to mine it. They have no reason to not mine it, sorry. And every reason to mine it. Seems increasingly obvious that a win for the White House in the war with Iran is reopening the Strait of Hormuz, which was only closed because they started a war. The dumbest people are not making our foreign policy, Hassan. They are probably priming it for boots on the ground. No, I think Iran supply has no effect on prices. Iran supply on China tankers, the only thing getting through. Nah, the dumbest people are not making your foreign policy, Hassan. They're probably priming it for boots on the ground. Yeah, that is dumb. That's a death sentence for troops. That's the argument. Yeah, I know. They're not just going to take Karg Island. They can't just simply seize and control Karg Island. There's no supply line that would direct munitions and food, and there is no logistical supply line that can feed the front line in that situation. So there's no way to take it, and there's certainly no way to hold it, even if you were by some stroke of by some happy accident for the American side, they were able to like land some fucking troops on Karg Island. They would not be able to hold it. I don't know. It is America. I'm scared they're crazy. Brother, what are you talking about? Them being crazy doesn't mean military success. Them being crazy actually increases the likelihood that they do something dumb. If you destroy the Iranian oil production, then Iran has no reason not to destroy the entire Gulf's oil production. Okay? Because this isn't like direct warfare. This isn't about just, troop positions on the ground. This is economic warfare. Okay? It's economic warfare. Iran knows that that red button is always there. Their red button is not nukes. That red button is closing the Strait of Hormuz. They've now hit that red button. But there's another even bigger red button, which is damming the Strait of Hormuz and completely shuttering all capacity to move any oil tankers through that region. Right now, they keep saying, look, if you deal with us, if you give us assurances and we can trust you, we'll let your oil tankers through. They're just saying we control the Strait of Hormuz currently. If they were to mine it, then, it's over. At that point, they no longer technically control the Strait of Hormuz. Now they've completely shut it down.
However, should Iran or anyone else do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, I will immediately...
I think you underestimate American brutality. They don't need the land ground troops if they just nuke the Iranian coastline. I don't know how to answer these sorts of statements. Yes, guys, America is crazy. I know. They could technically nuke the entirety of Iran, okay? They could do that. They have nukes. They've used nukes in the past, okay? But that's not how this stuff works, because every escalation from America will meet escalation from Iran. That's what's holding them back. Why haven't they nuked Iran? I don't know. Well, nukes are an entirely different conversation anyway, because then if they use nukes, then Russia uses nukes in Ukraine. You know what I mean? It's unstoppable. From that point on, everybody's using nukes.
Reconsider this decision. Let me start by asking you about what has happened on Kharg Island and what is Iran's response to these strikes.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think our armed forces have already answered that they would retaliate if our oil and energy infrastructure are attacked. And they will attack any energy infrastructure in the region which belongs to an American company or an American company is a shareholder. So the reaction would be clear. Last night, they have attacked Kharg Island and Abu Musa Island with, the artillery rockets.
By the way, the strikes on Kharg Island isn't new. They did it in the first day too. In the opening salvo, the American and Israeli forces also hit Kharg Island. They hit, I think they hit the anti-air defense systems on Kharg Island in the opening salvo anyway. So it's not the first time they've done it.
System, HIMARS as they call it, which is a low-range rockets. And they have done it from the soil of our neighbors. And this is crystal clear that now they are using the territory of our neighbors to attack us by these kind of rockets. And this is absolutely unacceptable.
Which neighbors, sir?
Well, the last night attacks were tracked by our forces, and now it is clear that they are fired from UAE, from two locations in the UAE, from in Ras Al Khaimah, and from a location very close to the city of Dubai. And it is very...
Dude, if Americans think Abbas Araghchi is, a bisexual awakening for many Americans, okay, if they think he's like hot and cool and smart, wait till you fucking hear from Chinese, foreign policy heads as well. Any sort of entanglement with a foreign adversary that causes people to like really reconsider how other countries actually have competent leadership as opposed to our dumbass leadership. You're in for a wild journey when you see what the Chinese guys are saying as well. You sound jealous? How can you not be? I mean, this dude is smart, okay? I'm sorry. This dude is a smart guy. Okay? Our dudes are not fucking smart. Our dudes are morons. I'm desperate. I'm desperate for like an intelligent person I'm desperate for intelligent leadership, because intelligent leadership would not be doing this anyway. They would, at the very least, like try to engage in diplomacy with Iran. They wouldn't have allowed Israel to just fucking dominate the region like this. He is also not smart. Come on. Yeah, no, totally. You're right. Abbas Araghchi is not smart at all. First of all, in comparison to what, like fucking Pete Hegseth or Marco Rubio or Donald Trump, most people are smart. Okay? And not only that, but he is just across the board intelligent. You're a moron if you think that he's not. That's one of the biggest copes from the American side so far, is that they think like Iran, they think Iran is Afghanistan. For these Amerifats. Yeah. Yeah, he was a teacher. Well, didn't he teach? Was it Araghchi that taught at Exeter? Or was it Largiani that taught at Exeter? Half of these dudes literally taught in colleges in the United States of America. They have fucking PhDs. Where did Araghchi teach? Why are you dissing Afghans, bro? Afghanistan does not have the same capabilities of Iran. It wasn't like a fully functioning sovereign nation state. It has been ripped apart by foreign invasions over and over again. He has a PhD from Kent on political thought, and he did his thesis under a Marxist scholar. Yeah, his thesis is about Islam and the political economy, right? I think. He's an Iranian diplomat, served previously as a spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and an Iranian ambassador to Finland and Japan. He is. He also fought in the Iran-Iraq War. Got his bachelor's degree in international relations from the School of International Relations affiliated with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He then obtained a master's degree in political science from the Islamic Azad University in Tehran. Additionally, Araghchi holds a PhD in political thought from the University of Kent with a thesis entitled The Evolution of the Concept of Political Participation in the 20th Century Islamic Political Thought. Supervised by David McClellan, a scholar of Marxism, the thesis argues that modern Islamic political thought has attempted to reconcile the doctrine of divine sovereignty with the concept of popular sovereignty by incorporating aspects of Western democratic theory into Islamic principles, thereby developing democratic institutions within the framework of Islamic law. Azad University sucks, though. I'm sorry. Okay, but he still has a PhD from, don't worry, a good university, one that you can, put your teeth on, right? Amerifat's thinking these guys are Team America villains. Yeah. The Ayatollah supposes, this is Ali Lajiani. Ali Lajiani is a Kantian philosopher. Ayatollah's supposed successor at the time, which, he's not, right? He's the IRGC guy. He's the commander of the military. But yeah, his thesis was on Kant's philosophy of mathematics. So he's demonstrably not anti-Western in some dogmatic way. None of these guys are actually anti-Western. Iran's biggest failure, in my opinion, as far as his foreign policy has been, that they literally have actively tried to play ball with the United States of America over and over again. And look what that has given them, okay? Nothing, just death and destruction.
Dangerous that they use highly populated areas to launch, rockets against us. We would certainly retaliate, but we try to be careful.
Putin is now, I suppose? No. Vladimir Putin, 2 years into fucking invading Ukraine, had Tucker Carlson on in a visit that I think is probably the most like pro foreign government programming I've ever seen. And I say this as someone who went to China and loved China and thought it was awesome and spoke to Chinese state television, right? In that interview, Vladimir Putin straight up said to Tucker Carlson, why couldn't we be your Israel? We wanted to always be your Israel. And I think that's sincere. The bread interview, yeah.
Not to attack any populated area.
Is there any sign that Iran is prepared to allow passage of the Straits of Hormuz? Will the Straits of Hormuz remain closed so long as this war continues?
Well, as a matter of fact, the Strait of Hormuz is open. It is only closed to the tankers and ships belong to our enemies, to those who are attacking us and their allies. Others are free to pass. Of course, many of them prefer not because of their security concerns. This has nothing to do with us. And at the same time, there are many tankers and ships who are passing through the Strait of Hormuz, and I can say that the strait is not closed, but it is only closed to American, Israeli, ships and tankers, and not to others.
We know that Iran has elected a new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. He has not been seen yet in public, though he did issue a statement yesterday. I'm sure you have heard the comments from the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who has said that he claimed the supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. What is the status of the supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei?
Well, they have made so many claims like this. Yesterday, they said that all Iranian authorities are in the bunkers, but at the same time, the whole world saw our president, the Speaker of Parliament, everybody, the Secretary of our National Security Council, everybody was in the street among the people who demonstrated. So there are lots of accusations like that. They will see soon, I guess, that there is no problem with the new supreme leader. He sent his message yesterday, and he will perform his duties. He is performing his duties according to the Constitution, and he will continue to do that. I think by now it should have been clear, and it should have been known for everyone.
You know, this is a different war because MS Now would never have Russian foreign ministers on. It's actually really interesting because it's not just MS Now. NBC is having the foreign minister on. CNN, I believe. Well, actually, CNN might not have had Arakshi on. They probably are. They're way more predisposed to propaganda. I think CBS and CNN are really aggro as of late. But PBS has had him on. And you're right. It is different. It's different because we are objectively in the wrong. Like a couple months ago, having someone with any affiliation with the IRGC at all, any affiliation with the Iranian government at all, was going to create an inherently hostile interview for the horrible state repression against the Iranian protesters. Now they're objectively on the wronged side of things. Not the wrong side of things, but they're objectively being attacked unjustifiably. And there's no real argument for why we did this. It's just Israel wanted it to happen, and it's deeply unpopular. And there's a lot of interest in hearing from the Iranian state's side, the Iranian state's position. Okay, stop milking him. Just because someone gave lectures in university doesn't mean they're correct everywhere. The statement is hella biased. What he's saying is correct, but I don't align with his ideology. Come on, man, just read about him, brother. All bets are off on domestic considerations when a country is being dominated by the largest imperial superpower. You understand that, right? That's like, this is how this goes. This is part of the reason why even Americans now in this like current media environment are much more sympathetic to the side of the Iranians. I mean, look at the comments on fucking YouTube. His use of English is better than our president. You won't see this interview on Fox News. The interview is great, asking without interrupting. Good to know the other side of the story. A lot of Americans want to hear from Iran. Glad you had the opportunity. He's willing to speak to the world. It's like people talking to me about Hamas. They're like, well, Hamas is an Islamist movement. I don't give a fuck, dude. They're being genocided. What do you mean? Oh, they're an Islamist movement? I can't believe it. Oh, no. Like, what? That has no consideration at this point. Okay? That has no consideration. The IRGC's domestic repression has no consideration in this conversation. You want to know why? Because America and Israel are engaging in chemical warfare. So understand how hard it is as an Iranian seeing this, where these guys are fucking monsters, but since America and Israel are attacking randomly, Iran is coming out as the good guys. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. It definitely still has consideration. It fucking does not. You want to know why? Because as brutal and as ruthless as the IRGC might have been, okay, right now they're the only thing holding the entire country together. They're the only thing maintaining Iranian sovereignty. I'm sure there's plenty of Iranians in Iran right now, as I've said from the beginning, even before this bombing campaign started, that will very quickly recognize that the Israeli goals here, which are the only goals that matter, the American goals as it stands currently, unfortunately, do not matter. And I say unfortunately because Israel is so fucking devastating a force in the region that, like, even the American goals of, like, negotiating with the IRGC to de-escalate would be objectively better than the Israeli goals of complete destabilization and collapse of Iran as a country. That is the only goal here. That's the only victory condition for Israel, or at least it was the victory condition for Israel. And I believe that they're also softening their approach as well. Benjamin Netanyahu actually came out with his first press conference since the war began and said something of the sort. Basically saying like, oh, we might not be able to, destroy Iran. We might have a weakened IRGC. There's just so many examples of what you're talking about. I don't understand why people just flip shit about the current thing and then years later they're just like, oh yeah, maybe they were better off. I know. This is one of the instances where people are coming to terms with it much faster, in my opinion. That's the thing. It's kind of like this, okay? In a hypothetical scenario, we're all fighting amongst ourselves, right? In the United States of America. We all hate the government. Some people love the government. I hate the MAGA cattle. They fucking they are the most damaging force around the planet and certainly to American ambitions as well, right? They're destroying this country. They're destroying this country and they're servile cattle. They're fucking idiots. However, in a hypothetical scenario, if like an alien force were to invade the entire planet or the United States of America in particular, we would all rise up against that alien force. We would unite against the aliens, right? It wouldn't matter any longer who is MAGA or who is a communist, who's a socialist, who's a liberal. All of a sudden, everyone would be focusing on purging the fucking aliens. That's it. That's usually how this works. Right now, Iran is actively being destroyed. I'm just saying you don't have to choose between Iran and Israel. No, that's fucking bullshit, okay? Yes, you do have to choose between Iran and Israel. I absolutely choose Iran over Israel. That's ridiculous. Regardless of its domestic repression, regardless of its like resistance forces in the region, Iran's crimes do not even meet half the standard of what Israel does on a good day. Okay? It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. No. I'm not doing this wishy-washy centrist fucking bullshit. It's completely ridiculous. I think it's cope. A lot of people recognize that it's virtually impossible to defend this war, so they just have to do this cope where they go like, they try to hit the center pivot. Like Israel engaged in chemical war for over 15 million Iranian people living in Tehran by blowing up their fucking refineries. Acid rain. Black clouds over the sky of Tehran. And acid rain over a population of 15 million people. There is no coming back from that. You can say that is objectively worse. If you do not care about Churchill's crimes because he was on the right side of World War II, if you do not care about domestic issues like segregation in America when talking about Easy Company and what they were doing against the Nazi scourge, you can't be talking about the IRGC like that at this moment. Okay? That's it. A lot of Americans don't want to reckon with that reality that, like, we are the bad guys. Like, we as individuals are not bad, but our country, as long as it's currently aiding Israel, as long as it doesn't change its foreign policy approach, is doing a metric ton of awful shit. And guess what? All that awful shit is packaged as though it's helpful for the average American. But in this current media environment, that is making it so much more difficult to sell to people. Because people now have the capacity, unlike ever before, to look at that and go, no, how is this helpful for me? You said this in Iraq. You said this in Afghanistan. I didn't see any of the fucking benefits. You're lying. Because at the end of the day, foreign policy and domestic policy are not decoupled from one another. They work side by side with one another. A lot of people refuse to comprehend that here in the United States of America because a pliant media apparatus has removed those things. Oh, we wage war over there. All the tax dollars are funneled into that endeavor. But, you know, that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Why? Because these guys hate our freedoms. They say death to America. Why do they say death to America? Don't ask that question, right? They're a real threat. Iran is a real threat to America. When is Iran? Iran has never been a real threat to America. Never. While we have been a real threat to Iran and actively tried to kill Iranians, sometimes succeeded in killing Iranians, like in the Iraq-Iran war, right? And have destroyed Iran's economy, destroyed Iran's population with our crippling sanctions, killing people in Iran with those sanctions, making life uninhabitable. Iran has never presented a real significant threat to American existence, not even one bit. It's just a lie. It's a lie we've told ourselves. It's a lie that mainstream news has told Americans over and over again for 47 fucking years. And many Americans still have that residue, that American chauvinist residue. They think, no, this is probably for some good reason because my government would never lie to me. My government wouldn't just like tell me a complete falsehood in an effort to get me to be on board with this war that we're waging. It's becoming much more difficult to sell this lie to Americans, especially when Trump is very vulgar in the way that he communicates to his own base and to everyone else that is listening, where he just says, no, we're doing it for oil. And Americans hear that and they go, what the fuck? That's ridiculous. You got to stop believing people when they say Hasan hates America, for example, okay? If I hated America, I wouldn't live here. I'd live somewhere else, okay? I don't hate Americans. I want what's best for Americans. That's why I advocate for the things that I advocate for. Some people understand it. Many people still refuse to recognize it, but they will. They will eventually. Every single day, there's a new person that awakens to the realities that American imperialism is not actually good for ordinary Americans at all. That's just a lie that they've been sold. And it's a hard hill to climb for many people if that's all you've known. It's patriotism, right? Like my country wouldn't be doing horrible shit overseas for no reason or for reasons that don't actually benefit me at all, but benefit this faceless, lifeless, parasitic capital owning class that is not even like American in the same way that you and I are, but instead they're multinationals. Like they can live wherever the fuck they want and often do. They steal your taxes. They funnel your productive output back into this war machine that ends up lining their fucking wallets. They often threaten